All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us on our webinar on BAASS Cloud Hosting, presented by BAASS Business Solutions in partnership with Lanetco. My name is Amanda DeFlorio, and I am part of the marketing team at BAASS. I would like to cover a few housekeeping rules before the webinar begins. All attendees will be muted during the duration of the webinar. If you have a question, please type it in our chat box. We will answer the questions at an appropriate time. Please ensure your headphones are plugged in and the volume is turned up on your computer. If you are having any technical issues, please write it in our chat box and we will do our best to assist. Now, I would like to introduce Dan Quinnell, one of our webinar hosts today. Dan?
Dan, you're muted.
Oh, there we go. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining. Much appreciated. As Amanda mentioned, my name is Dan Quinnell. I am the Business Development and Inside Sales Manager. I'm going to be working with Jamie today. There's going to be an opportunity for you to ask questions, of course, throughout. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat box, and we'll go through those at the end of Jamie's presentation. And without further ado, I'll pass it over to our president of Lanetco Computer Networks, and Jamie Smith.
Thank you very much, Dan. My name is Jamie Smith. I am the president of Lanetco Computer Networks Inc. We are the sister company of BAASS Business Solutions and the BAASS group of companies. We are the IT division here. The reason I'm presenting today is I manage the infrastructure division here for BAASS, which is a technical team for the infrastructure division that manages the hosted Sage 300 platform for BAASS Cloud. I won't speak very much in regards to the Sage 300 itself. This will be entirely a conversation about the hosting platform. And specifically, the idea here is to spend 15 minutes to provide an overview. And then at the end of that, answer any questions. Part of this session, I will also be giving the answers to the top asked questions that we have. The most commonly asked questions that I'm asked whenever doing any form of engagement with organizations and discoveries about, hey, what does hosting and Sage 300 actually mean? Please feel free, if you do have a question, anything comes up, if you have the GoToWebinar app, you can type it into the questions box. If you're using the web forms for GoToWebinar, there is a question box marker there as well. If we don't get to something or if something comes to mind later on, please feel free to email Dan or I. He's Dan Quinnell at BAASS.com. I am Jamie Smith, jsmith@BAASS.com or jsmith@lanetco.ca. I will get emails from either locations. So I will go straight into it. The idea here today for me is I want to touch upon what is Sage 300 hosting, what organizations are doing, and why they're looking at hosting Sage 300. What we are seeing here today is organizations are looking to move and remove everything from on-prem to hosted when possible. It's not a militant march, but it's absolutely something that everybody is talking about. They're looking to go domainless, remove servers on-prem. They're looking to move file shares into the cloud. They are looking to move line of business applications to hosting parties. And they're looking to remove the complexity of servers and security and backup and the management of all of those same things from their on-prem to hosted. And while I can't cover all of those areas there, the area that we are here talking about today is Sage 300 and that line of business application hosting. Unfortunately, at this point in time, there really isn't a true SaaS web-based model for hosted Sage provided by the publisher. So anything that is Sage 300 hosting right now it still requires a platform. It still has to be installed on servers and delivered out to the end users. And this is where we come in with our BAASS Cloud solution, providing a platform for you to use to put your software, your licenses, everything on that side of it, your data into our platform, and then to be able to access it from anywhere. When we're first having these and people are thinking, okay, what should I be thinking about? What am I asking here? The most common times that we see, engagement in these conversations, there's really a big three. It's when you're upgrading your Sage 300, very often this becomes, hey, can Sage 300 be hosted? Absolutely, and having that conversation. When a company is changing infrastructure, hey, servers need to be retired, or for some reason there's a change, like, how do we get rid of our Sage 300 and put it in the cloud even if we're not upgrading it? Or of course, quite obviously, if somebody's purchasing Sage 300 net new, that's an opportunity as well. So those are the three common reasons where we start to have conversations and engagements with organizations about Sage 300. And then, to understand whether it's a fit, then it says, hey, what's the size of organization that would potentially go with a hosted platform for Sage 300? Right now, I can tell you this, it's very broad. It can be from 1 to 100. There really isn't a limitation on this. We have customers that are in the 30, 60, the largest that we have, I think, is 85 or it might be 87 users, and we're talking about Sage 300 users. But that's not the norm. I mean, those are a little bit more of the rarity. By far, the vast majority of these, greater than 60% of all implementations, are in the 3 to 8 Sage 300 user ranges. So don't think that this is only something that should be thought of as, oh, only big organizations do this. Absolutely not. We have many, many, many 3 and 4 and 5 user Sage 300 hosted organizations with our BAASS Cloud platform. So let me get straight to some of the top points that are asked in these initial conversations about why would we go hosted. The first common thing is going to be, well, if you have servers on-prem and while you've got the technical group from BAASS, they're already your ERP partner, they're already going to be doing the consulting and support, and their technical team is a whole build book of best practices for implementation, but those also require the requirements, the hardware and platform requirements suggested by the publisher, the servers, RAM, disk, CPU, configuration, etc. And sometimes that's out of our control when it's being done on-prem. There can be maybe some kind of disconnects or getting that organized. Here, in this type of a solution, we're providing the platform at the same time, and we're architecting this based on literally thousands of installs and decades of experience to provide a platform that is optimized and configured to be, what we would consider to be best in class. And our people and our support team implemented on that, making and increasing the chances and the opportunity that this is going to be an incredibly smooth and streamlined implementation for you. So what we do is when we implement it, all exceeds the recommendations of Sage themselves. It meets the expectations of our BAASS ERP technical team, and delivering that out, and using our staff to deliver that out to you as well. Now, the Sage and the consulting and the support is still done by our Sage support technical team, our support desk, etc. And the connection and connectivity is done with our technical team from Lanetco. And what we then want to provide to you is that one throat to choke. Our organizations provides all of this out to you so that you have a turnkey solution itself. We provide the servers, we're providing the backup on the infrastructure side of it itself, the servers, the backup, the business continuity solutions, support for end users and connectivity, communicating and organizing, printing, etc., and then implementing directly with the BAASS team as well. We're able to do that all of ourselves on this side so that we're delivering, hey, here's the quote, here's what it takes to implement, and let us deliver this out and streamlining that for you. And it's scalable. People want to go with hosted because, well, if I want to add a user, if I want to remove a user, you can do that at any time. We're able to add those users in. We take care of the licensing. We include the operating system, SQL, Microsoft Office, etc. that is required for your Sage. And also, if you have any third-party products, we can tailor fit this to you and your organization, adding any of those in as well. So very scalable on that side of it. The security portion of it as well, we're going to provide this, holding it to standards of CAN CIOSC 104. That's the framework that we're going to use to deliver all this out to you, whether it's patching for the operating system for the platform itself and security detection software, etc. Locking down the servers for you and for your end users so that they're not able to actually do much other than use the Sage in it. We are providing best practices in our templates to get this out to you, locking all of these down, enforcing multi-factor authentication so for the security side, and then providing the secure access method. We use parallels for your end users to connect in, so the data transfer and communication back and forth from your end user to the hosted solution is traveling, and it's using SSL and port 443 for communication. So we're taking care of that all for you as well. And when you've got all these pieces together, it also enables us as well to future-proof this, both for if it's increasing users, decreasing users, adding third-party products, or upgrades. When we're doing an upgrade, we use the same platform itself, so we can add to that platform, so you do upgrades that don't affect anything that's in place and allow you to swap over and transition your end users to the upgrade seamlessly. So the next one's going to be, how does it even work? If we have this solution in place where everybody's accessing it, how do they get to it? We have a client base that you can install on your computer. We have a web-based model as well. Both of them connect in the same manner. Here's what I will do is I'll show an example of some print screens here. For the web-based portion, we create a URL that you navigate in a web browser. You will go to yourcompany.baass.com. Your end users are all given individualized usernames and passwords to log in. They enter those credentials in, and then they are prompted for MFA. Multi-factor authentication, it'll come off of your smartphone. Everybody is set up with that. If they don't have smartphones, a common question is, yes, we do have fobs available. Fobs very much like you would have for banking, etc., where they send you a key fob with a 6-digit rotating combo. So you've got your username and your password and your MFA to get in. You put in your MFA, and then you're brought to the website itself where you can actually launch the desktops. The individual user would see the, after logging in, putting in the MFA, see the site, they click on the remote desktop connection, and it now opens up their desktop session. These are all individualized. Everybody's credentials get their own credential desktop session. And from there, Sage 300 is launched just like it would be off of your own local network. It's installed as an application. You open up Sage, and whether or not you've got multiple organizations or individuals have access, the individuals have their own unique user credentials to get into Sage and are assigned their permissions to be able to get into specific modules. Some people just payables or AR, GL, inventory control, etc. So once they get into the platform itself, the rest of Sage is just like you've normally seen up until now. Log into Sage, and this is where yourself, and then from this point forward, and the BAASS group supports the Sage 300 application itself, user groups, permissions, etc. Now, from there, I want to get into the most common questions that we are asked. When we're first doing some forms of discovery and people are being introduced and having a conversation, quite often I get the, hey, so just to be sure, how do we connect and where are we connecting from? We're connecting from the office. We're able to get into this. Yes, obviously, the idea is that this is a hosted platform that when you're in the office, you are now able to connect into it from the office. But also, can we connect from home? Yes, we can have roaming access users. So from the office, you can connect in. And if you wanted to work from home, you can connect in and from there as well. And we're asked, hey, but if I have third-party products, is this just hosting of the Sage product, or is there third party as well? This is a very customizable and very malleable solution. We're able to implement all the same third-party product solutions that you would implement yourself normally on-prem and put it into our hosted solution as well. Common, print boss, EFT type solutions, payment, etc. Those can all be added into the same hosted solution. And printing, I have a check printer on-prem. Am I able to print to that? Absolutely. Well, what if I've got a printer at home? Will this map? Yes. We use the universal print driver redirect that should pick up all your printers at home. And in the event that there's any kind of a question or challenge on that side of it, you reach out to our team and we help with that. And we support on that side, getting these printers set up for you in the event that there was any kind of a question or issue on that side of it. I'm asked, Well, what do you need to provide? I mean, what do I, the organization, need to provide to make this sort of a thing work? Well, basically, you're providing the Sage 300 license and your data. We're installing the software and putting it into our solution. So you're providing that portion. Beyond that, you got to have an internet connection. You got to have a desktop, Windows 8.1 or higher desktop to be able to connect to it. That's really basically it. We also have people that are using Chromebooks and Apple products to be able to connect into these. So you just have to provide a device for your end user, internet connection, and you're connected in. And the last of the most common questions that we're asked at the initial touch point is usually, hey, if we have local or server file shares at our office that are just for the finance, can we put those into the hosted solution as well? Yes, you can. So it's not uncommon for people to take their accounting, admin-based finance shares, put it into the hosted solution as well, and separate them out from other groups and data directories. Just because there's a commonality, you're already into the Sage 300, this is a group where you can put it secure folders and permissions and folder structure. We can build all of that out for you as well and host those there. The RDS session, it has Microsoft Office installed on it, so you have Word and Excel already there. When we're deploying it out, and somebody gets to the point to say, hey, okay, we've decided and we're going with this, how does this really affect the end users? The end user, as you can see from ourselves here, you've got an internet connection, you got a desktop, you get your username, your password, you're able to connect in. There's not a terrible lot to it, but the two most common questions that we get from end users when they're when they're initially getting set up is, the first one is always going to be, wow, do I really have to enter in multi-factor authentication every time I log in? The answer to that is yes. I mean, that is a security reason and precaution. I can only say to everyone here, you should have MFA for everything, everywhere, all the time. Every day that you're logging into something, you should be using MFA, multi-factor authentication. So yes, when you log in, you've got to put in the 6-digit code every time. That should not be a game stopper in any way, shape, or form. That's for your own protection. The other one, which is more of a practical one, is, hey, I got my printers here. Can I copy and paste files between my desktop and the server? Yes, you can. So ad hoc, you can take files and copy and paste back and forth. So very, very easy to use and very friendly for the end user. What I'm going to switch to now is, what are some of the most common IT questions? And for those of you that are not in IT, if it's in finance, you're probably more interested in the upfront questions that I just went through there. But some of these are usually what will happen when I'm brought in is there's a conversation. We want you to talk to our technical group. We want you to talk to our IT team. We got some questions and they want to vet some of these things out. So I'm going to cover some of those here now as well. I mean, the most common one is going to be, how do you secure the end user connection? And what do you use to get connected? How do we know that the employees that are connecting in, this is a secure connection? So we use this login portal. I just showed some print screens of that as well. We use a product Parallels from Corral. This is what allows us to provide a secure gateway and secure communication between the endpoint and the end user. And no, it does not require a VPN. So there's no VPN installation. You can use the web browser to get into it. There is also a client, a very small client that can be installed on the desktop that makes it easier for the end user to just double click and fire up and go in. We prefer the client to be installed, but it's not mandatory. And then of course, there's MFA across the board for the end user. Password to log in, multi-factor authentication to log in from there every day. The other thing we do, again, for the IT people, we IP whitelist. So you cannot connect to this from anywhere except your office. So that URL will not work for anybody else, even if they get it, unless they're within your office. And the way that we get that to work from home is we provide an authentication method for end users to connect to it from home. So we don't want to expose your Sage 300 environment to the network, to the world at all. The URL, if you don't have these unique credentials, you're not going to be able to get into it. I get asked about backups. So for the backups themselves, we have the infrastructure itself. You would expect, these are quite common. It's redundant everything, redundant servers, internet, firewalls, switches, etc. For the backups of the data, there are multiple points, multiple backups a day on different copies of hardware within the hosted infrastructure. But the The item that we have here that separates us a little bit is we have an immutable separated last copy that's outside of our control. We have an offsite copy of the data, and this is in the event, what happens if everything we have has an issue or is compromised in some way, shape, or form. We want to keep a separated last copy that is encrypted offsite that not even my team can delete. So that we know that there's some sanctity to the data that you have there, because your data it's important to you and it's very, very important to us as well. We get asked, are any of the server resources shared? And no. That you may find that that's an option somewhere else, not with us. Everything is all instances for all customers are a dedicated platform and virtual resources for you. The network, the servers, everything is yours. There's no cross share with any other customer in any way, shape, or form. That's the only flavor that we offer, and it allows us to keep the integrity and sanctity of data for everybody across the board. And I'm often asked as well, hey, what about your team? Does your team, the Lanetco or the administrative team, how are their passwords stored? How do you have access to our data? And how do you log in? So everything on our side as well, every individual client at your instance of hosted Sage 300 has all unique passwords. And those unique passwords are automatically rotated and changed every day. Every 24 hours, the administrative passwords that we have for your network are changed every single day. And the access that we have to access those passwords is a secure password vault management tool. And our staff have to log into it with MFA just to get into it. And then to see or to support any instance to see a password, we log everything. So we can see who's read a password, who's used it, and where they used it. And then to even use it, to be able to support any instance of any client, they have to use MFA, again, to log into it. So we're using it in multiple points for this accessibility. And again, some people may have it, if you haven't seen it already, you may see it, future. It's these requests on insurance or vendor risk assessments where it says, do your administrative users all have enforced multi-factor authentication? Yes, we do. Absolutely. And those are, I will touch, that's about it for the IT question itself. So